Good morning. I know that you've been talking a lot with your teachers about erosion and weathering and what happens to rocks and what happens to the earth. So I came up with just this little video. I want to remind you of the things that you've learned and then give you a couple really easy little activities that you can do. And you can pretend that you are seeing the actual weathering or erosion take place. Right here is an example from a picture of some erosion, and you can see this is probably like a field, maybe a field we'd see here in DeKalb, and water's coming down there, and it's a low point right through here, and in that low point that gets washed away. So that's water erosion right there. This might be bad if this happened in your yard, if you had a low point in your yard, or if a farmer had a low point in their field. It could be pretty bad because they wouldn't be able to grow any food there. And then what else would happen is water would pull, like bring seeds from all over. It would wash seeds away and they'd all end up in that little crack. Gullies can also be develop from this kind of erosion. And you can see this would be just a huge cut in the earth. You could also have it go as big as something like the Grand Canyon. And that's over millions of years, but that's huge. You might also see some kind of erosion near mountains that formed. And see, these mountains don't have the straight edges that we usually think of when we make mountains or draw mountains. These have really eroded away sides that are kind of caved in, and that would be from the water rushing down the sides. It's also, there would have been like this would have been covered in glaciers, like ice. And so when this started to pull away, this glacier back here pulled away, it would have pulled a lot of rock with it, and it left a big hole here in the earth that filled up with water. So it's another type of erosion. You would have had the water erosion plus the rubbing of rock on rock. Over here, I know a lot of people have been trying to make something that looks like a coastline, and you've done a really, really good job. Weathering along a coastline is typically because of the wave patterns going back and forth. So like these waves would wash up here, and then they're going to pull some of the soil away with them. When they go back, they're going to pull away a lot of the sand. You can tell that that's eroded away. You can look at the side of this little hill and you can tell that that's eroded. So when it happens, it's going to pull away any of the plant material. Like if you've got grasses, if you had a house built right there, then that water erosion could also damage down here where the house, is built, and it could actually cause the house to crash. This one I think is so cool because this is probably from a state park or something, and I think it's so beautiful. It really shows what happens with erosion over millions of years. So back here you've got like the cliff, and you can see there's layers of rock, and then down here are the trees, and here is neat. It's like a little pool right there where people could walk, and layers and layers and layers of rock that have been eroded away over millions of years by water. So I would suspect this had been filled with a lot more water at some point, and it's now down to this amount of water, but that's how that all eroded. So I'm going to show you two really quick activities, and when you're doing the activities, or when you get done with the activities, you have a handout that you can complete. And so it says, let me see if I can get this to go back. All right, discovery, and what did you observe? And then draw or write about what you saw at each station. So there's one for like the water erosion you're going to see with dripping the water on the rock, and the other one would be for rubbing the rocks together. And you can draw, you can write, you can do both. That would be fantastic, and that just kind of gets to talk about what you did in your activity. Okay, so I will be giving you some rocks, and this is an example of the kind of rock you're going to get. Just a simple little rock that we can work with in the classroom. So we've got a simple little rock like that, and I've got a container. We're going to work inside this container because I don't want this to make a mess, and so you have a place to work so you don't make a mess either. These things are called pipettes or eyedroppers. Okay, so I'm going to get some water. Now, I don't want you to just squirt water all over this rock. I want you to try to maybe erode one corner or right down through the middle. So let's see if I can hold it steady. So think about this being, water coming down over millions and millions and millions of years. And I'm only doing like a drop at a time, so you can be really patient with it. And you should have a little magnifying glass that you can look at. What you want to do now is you're going to look at it. Do you see how this, I don't know if you can see it, and my hands are shaking so bad. Can you see how that eroded away a little hole? That would be like water erosion over millions of years. Okay, so that's an example of water erosion. The other type of erosion that we could talk about would be weathering with rock on rock, rocks rubbing each other. So I've got a little container, a little bag with some pretend rocks. I'm using birdseed because we can just throw it outside when we're done. But birdseed's got all different kinds of pieces. They're all different shapes and sizes, and that's the way rock would be if you saw this happening on Earth. So you're going to look at another one. I would like it if you'd look at these, first before you put it in here, but it's got kind of straight edges on it. Put that in the bag and zip up the bag. Now, you're going to take the same bag and you're going to rub it in your hands. So let me see if I can do this so you can see it. See, it's in the bag, and now I'm going to rub my hands together. So it's like the rocks are rubbing against each other, and I want to see what happens to my rock and if it survived. Wow, this one didn't. Just a second. Look at how little he is now. This is a little bitty rock. So it's just a tiny little rock. Just a fraction of what he looked like before. And so that's going to demonstrate the erosion when you've got weathering of rock rubbing against rock. So it's pretty cool. Make sure you write down what you've seen. Make sure you can either write words or you can draw pictures. Either one of them is great. Clean up after yourself, and then you can go on to the next station. Have a good day.